this story is kind of hard to believe, because it was hard to believe for most Americans when they would listen to those press briefings with the president, who said basically everybody's in it for themselves. Jared Kushner said we have a stockpile and the states have to deal with their own stuff. So Colorado took the president at face value and ordered its own ventilators.
Yeah, well, it's hard to imagine that this is the reality that we face. And I give Governor Polis a lot of credit. And obviously, Colorado is grateful for the 100 ventilators we got. But what is the process by which you get measured? When I was governor, we had the federal government was careful and made sure that the population and infection rates and overall need would be the criteria by which necessary supplies that you don't have enough of. That's how they would be circulated and distributed. That's obviously not happening if you're using them as political favors.
Governor, talk to me about how you think this went down, because Governor Polis orders these through a private company. FEMA then takes the order for itself. And then apparently Cory Gardner has made a request for some. And the president now, as a courtesy to Cory Gardner, lets us go. That's the thing that's got the Denver Post hot under the collar. The editorial went out of its way to not be broadly critical of the Trump administration's handling of this, but highly specifically of what they are calling an emolument, a favor to Senator Cory Gardner.
Well, they were outraged, and they weren't the only ones. I mean, I probably had more people talk to me in the last 24 hours about this one issue than anything I've heard, certainly in this entire crisis. I mean, the very fact that people's lives are at stake, where doctors, you just saw a doctor having to worry about her own child, and people are uncertain if we'll have enough ventilators. We know we don't have enough face masks. Where is all the PPE that people have every right to expect? We're not, as government, we are not delivering. And I think in the end, it's reflecting very well upon governors. Governor Polis, Governor Inslee in Washington, Governor Cuomo in New York. All these governors are stepping up and making the hard decisions, going out into the open markets and trying not to compete with each other. Governor Newsom is trying to create a consortium. I mean, that's what the federal government can be doing. Organize this in a systematic way so it's distributed fairly. The ventilators are distributed, the face masks, all this infrastructure necessary for a medical response. Make sure that it's fair to every state.
I want to ask you about what the Denver Post continued reporting on. Colorado has successfully pushed back its expected peak in coronavirus cases until at least next month, an important shift to give health officials and hospitals more time to prepare for a potential surge in COVID-19 patients, the top state public health official said. This is outside of the editorial. This is separate reporting. Tell me what the situation is in the state, because you do have a lot of cases.
Well, we do have a lot of cases, and again, I think Governor Polis took early action. Mayor Hancock in Denver also strong early action. And that kind of leadership, taking this seriously right from the beginning, is what Colorado needed, and I think it's what the country needs. I think we are clearly flattening the peak, and we're going to have, because of that, we're not going to have as much pressure at one time on our hospitals. I mean, that's the worst nightmare. If you talk to any doctor or the executives of any hospital, that they end up with people in critical condition and no place to put them, no intensive care units with enough beds to service everyone who's needed. And then you have to decide who gets care and who doesn't. The worst situation for any medical professional.
What do you think of the federal government's response with respect to Colorado? The governor has taken swift action in Colorado, and that does seem to be helping. But Colorado is a test case for what the president said, that states should handle their own matters when it comes to stockpiles and emergency management. That's not the understanding that most American citizens had about the way things go, but we're learning that that's what the president thinks should happen. This is an instance where that hasn't worked exactly.
Well, this is not the first time that the president has said one thing and then 24 hours, 48 hours later has completely reversed himself, which in a time of crisis is one of the worst things you can do, because people they have to have confidence and trust in their leadership. They have to know that what they're hearing is fact-based, and they can rely on it. I don't want to keep litigating this issue about the ventilators. We were grateful that we got the 100 ventilators. I know Governor Polis will do everything possible to make sure we get the ventilators we need in time so that they can be useful. But we also should be looking at why we still don't have testing capacity. I mean, at some point, we're going to want to transition back into an economy that's going to grow again. And if people don't have confidence that, if they're going into a retail store or a coffee shop or wherever, if they don't know that they're safe going out, they're not going to go out. And certainly not go out in numbers. We don't even have a fraction of the testing capacity we need to begin moving back into, a transition back into an economy. I think all of these things, it's the face mask. How do we have food workers make sure that they've got the face mask so they can handle food safely? All these things are not getting the attention they need.